Hello, this is Mesos Oram, and welcome to S.F.M.L tutorials. Today, we will be changing how our entity class works and fixing code affected by those changes, as well as making some changes to textures. First, we're going to copy this for later, and then go into entity.h. We're going to delete the variable entity size, as well as the functions translate entity and rotate. We're going to scroll down. We are going to delete the functions for get and set entity size. Sometimes we will need to resize our array, so we will say void resize array. And now we will need to get our texture size, so we will say sf vector2f get texture size. And over here, this should be an override, and get origin should be a constant. Now we will define both of these. For get texture size, we will just say return texture size, return text size, and we can make that a constant. We will delete these as they're no longer needed. For our global bounds position, we're just going to add our origin, so plus this get origin. In resize array, we're going to paste what we had before. Instead of entity size, we will say text size. Instead of get position, it will be this get origin. Now our positions will be x comma y plus h, x plus w comma y, then x plus w comma y plus h. Scrolling up a bit, we will be deleting these, making sure that this is constant. Scrolling up to the top, we can delete this as well as this. We can now delete this and instead say here texture size. We'll also delete this and go down here. We'll need to set the origin of our entity, so we will say this set origin and then text size divided by 2.0f. Then we will resize our array. Now to make sure we know what's what, I'm just going to put these here and here. What we did was basically make this class exactly the same but more efficient, so it's just better overall. There is one thing I need to do in draw, but first we need to go into physics. Here we need to inherit from public SF transformable, and we need to delete position as well as rotation. We're going to scroll down. We will delete get and set position, as well as these functions related to rotation. Now we can go into physics, scroll all the way up. We will delete our position. We'll make this a little cleaner. We will scroll down and delete both the get and set positions, as well as the functions related to rotation. Off camera, I fixed a spelling error, and I should fix the one here too. Now we can scroll all the way down. Here, instead of set position, we will just say move and delete this part. As well as here, we will just say rotate, delete this part, then say SF radians, and encapsulate our angular velocity. We can save that. Now we can go into ship.c++, scroll all the way up. We change this. Let's go get texture size, and this should be as radians. That's it for our ship class. We'll go into pellets. We'll scroll down to fire pellet. This should also be as radians, SF radians. And this should be get texture size. Scrolling all the way down, we don't need this null. That'll make things a lot smoother. Now we can save that and get out pellets. We can go to rocks.c++. We can scroll all the way up right here. We can also go into the rocks.h file. We no longer need this part, and we can delete this as well. Deleting this part. Now this can just be this, copy that, say sf vector2f, and encapsulate that, as well as make this a little smaller for ease of readability. Now we can scroll down a bit, go to update. We can just delete this part of spawn rock. Then we can scroll down inside the for loop. For health, we will say hint, and inside of there, we will say get scale, then multiply that by our texture size, .x. Now we're going to copy this and just paste it here. That way, because these two have to do with each other, they will still work. Let's scroll down to give us a little bit of room. Here, instead of set entity size, we will say scale. And inside of here, we will say 0.5f by 0.5f. This part can be deleted. Go down here. We will declare an unsigned int, and it will be our index, which will be the same as rock size minus 1. We will copy this, paste it into these, and we will make sure that this rock is the same scale as the previous rock. Rocks.add_index.setScale, which will be the same as rocks.add_i.getScale. Now we can save, close both of these. We can open both SpaceRocks.h and SpaceRocks.c++. We're going to first go into the .h file. Because pellets.h is also in rocks.h, we don't need this here. In the .c++ file, this here needs to be changed to end text, not score text. Now we can scroll down to update. In update, all we have to do here is say as radians. And the score text here in render needs to be moved right above the health bar. Now we can move into textures.h and textures.c++. We can close physics as well as entity. Save. Let's go into the .h file. We're going to scroll down into the public part. It was suggested that we could have bigger sprite sheets with different animations. So here we're going to say void change animation. And inside of here we will say unsigned int animation number. And at some point we might need to set our texture coordinates, so we will say void set text coord. And inside of here we will say SF vector2i coord. Now we will define these. Here we will just say text coord equals coord. We're going to scroll up a bit to frame right and frame left. We will delete this if statement right here. We will make a float variable called nextx, and it will equal text coord.x plus this dot get frame size dot x. Now this will be get size instead, and we will say fmod nextx comma this get size dot x. Frame left is similar, so we're just going to copy this and say minus. Then the only other difference is frame size dot x plus this dot get size dot x. Now we can scroll down to change animation, go inside. We will declare a variable called coordinate, SF vector2i coordinate. Our x coordinate will be coordinate.x equals this get texture coordinate.x. And our y coordinate will be coordinate.y will equal our animation number multiplied by this dot get frame size dot y. Then we will set our text coordinate. This set texture coordinate as coordinate. Now that I think about it, this should actually start at 0.0f. That's because when we change our animation, we want to reset it, and our coordinate.y will just send us one tile down on our animation sprite sheet. Now we're going to save everything. One thing I missed in entity.c++, we can scroll down to set origin, and here we need to resize our array. Now we can save again. Scrolling down to resize array, these should also be negative, and down to draw right here. To make sure that our transform works correctly, we will say states.transform multiplied by equals get transform, and enter the debug menu. We can see that everything works correctly as before. Thank you for joining me today. If you did, then please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.